The honest cynic. Marcus endured. Seneca explained. Nietzsche mocked. Machiavelli schemed. And you scrolled. The cult is quiet. They sold you stillness like it was salvation, taught you to breathe instead of speak, to detach instead of decide, to journal your rage, not act on it. Stay calm, they said. Be above it. But calm became the leash. Stillness became the costume. And now the world is burning, while you're meditating by the ashes. This is the cult of calm, and you didn't join it. You were born into it. The calm condition. They told you to stay calm. That calm means you're growing. That silence means you're strong. That composure is control. But calm is easy to sell when the world benefits from your obedience. Because once you're trained to breathe through everything, you stop questioning anything. You don't push back, you reflect. You don't speak up, you process. And slowly you stop noticing how much you're swallowing. They package this as maturity. But maturity without motion is just stillness. Stillness without power? That's a cage with mood lighting. You meditate while others manipulate. You journal while others maneuver. You're applauded for your stillness because it keeps you predictable. And when someone takes from you, you call it a lesson. You romanticize the restraint. You treat suffering like it's a syllabus. This isn't self-mastery, it's self-sedation. You're not calm because you're enlightened. You're calm because you were trained to flinch inward instead of act outward. And now, they sell you incense while taking your fire. When silence becomes a spell. Silence was sold to you as a sign of strength, a mental fortress, a high-value tactic. But now, it's a sedative with good branding. You hesitate to speak. You second-guess your anger. You dissect your own defiance before it forms. You weren't taught to control yourself. You were taught to abandon yourself quietly. They said your silence makes you wise. But really, it makes you useful. Because silence doesn't challenge power, it cushions it. You watch betrayal and say, it's not personal. You feel insulted and say, it's a trigger. You're not managing pain. You're labeling it so you don't have to move. Nietzsche called silence cowardice in costume. Seneca said time heals, but time only dulls the ache. And Machiavelli? He never stayed silent. He whispered. Because in the game of power, silence is forfeiture. They love this version of you. Calm, predictable, easier to ignore. So ask yourself, when was the last time your silence protected anyone but the person who hurt you? Polished, not powerful. Composure was supposed to be noble, grace under fire, class in chaos. But now you're a product, polished, marketable, harmless. You walked away without slamming the door. And the villain kept the keys. You speak in soft tones. You don't interrupt. You smile with your teeth but not your eyes. And they call that growth. You've been sanded down to fit, not into greatness, into the algorithm. You became the safe version of yourself, the palatable one, the one who doesn't make waves, just content. Machiavelli would have mocked your diplomacy. Marcus would have wept at your inaction. Nietzsche, he would have laughed until his lungs gave out. You're not peaceful, you're packaged, and they applaud you because they know you won't fight back. Therapy-toned chains. You know the words, boundaries, trauma, triggers. You quote Seneca, you reference Nietzsche, you say you're evolving. But really, you're rehearsing recovery like it's a monologue. You say, I'm healing. But healing became hiding. You process everything, but nothing changes. You gained emotional intelligence and lost emotional instinct. Now, instead of confronting violation, you label it and retreat. You tweet it, you therapize it, but you don't correct it. All the self-awareness in the world means nothing if it doesn't make you move. Seneca said to prepare for loss. He didn't say to accept theft. You were supposed to be stronger, not softer. Sedated by strategy. You call it strategy, patience, poise, the long game. But waiting for the right time forever is just fear in a tuxedo. You're not planning, you're stalling with bullet points. You journal about timing, you rehearse your boundaries. You visualize courage, but you never move. You call it composure, but it's just delay with better lighting. Machiavelli never waited. He calculated, and then he acted. You're still recalibrating your feelings, still refining your voice. They told you silence was a tool, but you forgot that tools are supposed to be used. The performance of peace. Peace used to mean something a result of hard-won clarity. Now, it's a playlist with birdsong and faux Zen quotes. You light candles, you inhale lavender, you watch reels of ocean waves while your life collapses in quiet. Your peace is curated, edited, uploaded. You're not serene, you're staged. You hide pain behind aesthetics. You smile through numbness, you journal the betrayal and call it growth. If this felt like truth disguised as pain, subscribe. We don't comfort, we reveal. Marcus endured storms. You post storm photos with filtered captions. This isn't peace, this is paralysis in soft focus. Real peace isn't quiet. It's earned. It's fought for. It has scars. What you have is a performance. Calm is camouflage. Your calm is camouflage. Your stillness is strategy that forgot how to strike. You keep it cool, unbothered, above it all. But under that, a battlefield of swallowed truths. You think restraint is noble, but restraint without response is rot. You had rage and turned it into captions. You had fire and turned it into incense. Now, they like you because you stopped being dangerous, but they never feared your peace. They depended on it. Calm was the costume you forgot to take off. Now it wears you. Exit the tranquil prison. You don't need another quote. You don't need another journal entry. You need to move, decisively, sharply, without permission. The world won't hand you clarity. You have to take it. Marcus waited for duty. Seneca waited for death. Nietzsche screamed into the void. Machiavelli whispered in exile. You're still waiting for closure. But closure isn't coming. Because you already have the answer. You were sedated, domesticated, repackaged as calm. And now, you wake up. Not gently, not slowly, but like a sword being unsheathed. Let them call it cold. Let them call it unkind. Let them say you've changed. Because the truth is, you were never meant to be silent. You were trained to be. And now it's time to untrain yourself. The fire they forgot. You weren't always like this. There was a time you didn't need a quote to move, didn't need a breathwork session to make a decision, didn't need 6 podcasts to justify your instinct. You just knew, and you acted. But they told you instinct was messy, that boldness was immature, that sharpness needed softening. So you traded your fire for filters, polished the edges, refined your rage. Now you meditate before making a move, reflect before reacting, edit before existing. They called that growth, but growth that costs your spark isn't growth. It's erosion dressed in enlightenment. You weren't supposed to be calm all the time. You were supposed to burn sometimes, to rise, to ruin, to rebuild. Marcus endured, but even he had legions. Seneca endured, but even he cracked. And you've been applauded for your restraint so long you've started to apologize for wanting more. But here's the truth. Not every flame is destructive. Some fires were born to warm the right room. Some were made to burn the wrong one down. So if there's heat in your chest, don't smother it. Name it. Fuel it. Because the calm they taught you, it wasn't sacred. It was safe. And safe won't save you when the world stops pretending to care. Share this with someone who hides behind quotes, then stop hiding too.